All right, we have about 60 more seconds, I think, until go time. So I'm just going to mute myself for 1 second. All right, good morning. It is a pleasure to see you all this morning. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for all North Carolina and South Carolina students. And as well as we have students who are actually going to be joining us from across the country. So welcome. This event is sponsored by CACRAO, which stands for the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers, and in partnership with StriveScan, that's allowing us to do this virtually. Thank you for joining us. Just a couple of housekeeping announcements before we get things started. You can use your Q&A button on your screen to type questions to the presenters at any time. Your cameras and your microphones are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. But again, if you have a question, you can type those questions into the Q&A button and we'll answer them as they come in. This is just one of many of the tours that are occurring this week. There's a number of other opportunities for you to register to attend other sessions if you like. And you can do so by going back to the CACRAO schedule, which is located at CACROA.org. That's CACRAO.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within a week at that same website, CACRAO.org. And now I'd like to turn it over to my wonderful presenter for the day, Mr. Terrence Jenkins. Sir, you can take it away.
That's fine. And okay, thank you. And again, welcome everyone to today's session, today's virtual information session. I guess I'll start off with a general introduction of who I am and where I work. My name is Terrence Jenkins, and I work at Virginia Commonwealth University. My role is that I serve as the regional transfer counselor at Virginia Commonwealth University. So basically what I do, I work with students who have an interest in transferring to VCU at some particular point, whether it's for a fall or spring semester. My job is to kind of help students understand the admissions process, as well as understand transfer application deadlines, and to answer any general transfer advising questions that you may have as it relates to our academic programs, as it relates to courses that possibly could transfer over to VCU when you are transferring to VCU. So my role is just to kind of give you some guidance and initial steps before you even apply or before you even receive your application decision letter. So today what I'm going to do, I have some slides that I want to share with you to kind of get you acclimated and kind of get you familiar with VCU. What we have to offer and what we're about. So let me share my screen. So the first slide we're going to take a look at is actually a video. And what I like about the video is that this is a video from some of our former as well as current VCU students. So you'll kind of get a chance to hear about VCU from a student's perspective.
When I came to VCU, it was a different setting. It was urban and there was a lot going on, and I knew I wanted to find my place. I know it's big in a lot of ways, but VCU is just a collection of small communities, and you can be a part of any and as many of those communities as you want.
Everyone's so welcoming and nice, and that's what I love about it.
I love the urban community, and I just love being around people that's striving for success.
It's so different than anywhere else that I've lived. People are so open-minded, and it's just awesome.
I love the
population here. I think everyone is really accepting.
You meet interesting people every single day.
Different walks of life.
Someone will always make your day here. There's so many things to do.
I've lived in the suburbs my whole life, so I thought coming to a new city would be a nice change of pace.
Like a breathing campus, breathing city. I just fell in love.
There's so many different places to explore in Richmond, and I honestly feel like I'm not just studying at VCU, I feel like I'm studying in the city of Richmond. Art was always just kind of a hobby of mine, and then when I toured VCU, it really opened my eyes to seeing like, wow, a lot of people can take this passion and make it a real thing that they can do with their lives and their career.
There is a niche for everyone in any major you choose, in any activity that you choose.
The faculty in here are always willing to go the extra mile to help students.
That's probably why I want to continue doing what I do. I'm a lifelong learner, and I want to continue to impact others in the future and in the long run.
I come from a very diverse background myself. I speak 5 different languages, and I knew that I could flourish as a student in this university and contribute.
It really does do a great job of leveraging the diversity and the talent and the richness of the community that attends VCU and the community around VCU. We're in a booming city that hasn't even hit its potential yet. Explore what VCU has to offer, because I promise you, you will come out of it with more than you came in.
Virginia Commonwealth University is located in Richmond, Virginia. I know many of you, you either live in North Carolina or South Carolina, and you also attend school in North or South Carolina. So in order to get to Richmond, Virginia, you would just take 95 or Interstate 95 North, and you'll actually run right into the campuses, both campuses that we have. Now, actually at VCU, we're actually fortunate where we have 2 campuses. First campus is the Monroe Park campus. This campus actually houses the vast majority of our academic programs. The second campus, which is the Medical College of Virginia campus, is designed and set up for students who have an interest in studying nursing, dental hygiene, clinical lab sciences, clinical radiation sciences, physical therapy, medicine, dentistry, things of that nature. So depending on what major that you're going to pursue or that you would pursue at VCU, will kind of dictate which campus that you will be basically housed at and taking your core courses. Both campuses are really roughly about 15 minutes apart from each other. We do have shuttles that run back and forth between the 2 campuses every day of the week. And as I said before, we're basically we're located in Richmond, Virginia. So it's kind of like a central location. So basically we have easy access to a lot of major places as well. So we're roughly 2 hours away from the North Carolina borderline. We're roughly 2 hours away from Washington, D.C. We're roughly 2 hours away from the beaches of Virginia Beach area. We're roughly 2 hours away from the mountains in Virginia. And what I like about VCU is that we utilize all of the resources that we have in Richmond. One being is the James River system. We have access to this river system. It's not just the river itself, but the river system, where a lot of our clubs and organizations will have events and programs taking place at the James River system. And sometimes the university itself will host the different events at the James River system. We're very fortunate where we have 8 Fortune 500 companies that are actually housed in Richmond. But what I like about the eight Fortune 500 companies that we have, they formed a partnership with VCU, and in particular with some of our academic divisions, such as the School of Business and the College of Engineering. So it kind of serve as a pipeline where some of our students within one of those 2 departments, units, School of Business or College of Engineering, will sometimes acquire internship opportunities with the Fortune 500 companies or permanent jobs. So a lot of times, they will host also recruiting events as well. In addition to that, we have formed partnerships with over 150 community organizations throughout Richmond and the greater Richmond area. A lot of times our students who live in different residential halls, or our students who are part of different clubs and organizations have different service learning hours that they have to complete. So a lot of times what they will do, they will pair up with one of our community organization partners to help fulfill those service learning hours. But in addition to that, to kind of help build relationships and partnerships as well. At VCU, we believe the experience is everything. We have students who come to us from all 50 states, as well as students come to us from different countries as well. But in addition to that, these students who are coming to us from all 50 states and different countries, we have a very diverse population. And when we talk about diversity at VCU, we're not just talking about a student's ethnicity, race, or gender. We're talking about the different experiences they bring. For example, being from North Carolina, you may meet students, or South Carolina, you may meet students who are coming from California. You may meet students who are coming from Florida. You may meet students who are coming from Chicago, Seattle, other places as well too, and other countries. And by meeting them and just forming relationships with them and friendships with them, you're going to kind of gain insight about their experiences from where they're coming from. So we like that about our university because that makes the university just that much more diverse, but enriching and rewarding for everybody who's a part of the university. But not just our student body, but also our faculty and staff. And in my experiences and just talking with transfer students, a lot of times, that's one of the main things that they love about VCU, the diversity that we do offer within our university. Currently, we have over 31,000 students who attend VCU. Of the 31,000 students who attend VCU, 23,000 make up our undergraduate population. We have a student to faculty ratio of 18:1. Our average class size at VCU is roughly about 28 students, but that varies and that depends on the type of course that you're taking. For example, if you're taking a general education course, then the class size may be a little bit larger. If you're taking a core course for your major, the class size may be a little bit smaller. We currently have over 193,000 alumni from VCU. But however, that number changes every semester with the graduating class, with a new graduating class. So we're fastly approaching over 200,000 alumni. At VCU, we have 13 academic divisions. So depending on the major that you wanted to pursue at VCU will determine which academic division that you'll be a part of. Our biggest academic division is the College of Humanities and Sciences. In this division, we have roughly 14,000 students. And some of the popular majors that transfer students generally pick when they're applying to VCU are biology, health and physical education, mass communication, pre-nursing, and psychology. Now, all of these majors that I just mentioned are actually a part of the College of Humanities and Sciences. But in addition to that, some of our other popular academic divisions that transfer students generally apply to, in addition to the College of Humanities and Sciences, is the School of Business, the School of Nursing, as well as the School of the Arts. Now, all of our academic divisions are excellent at what they do. One of our premier academic divisions is actually the School of the Arts, which is the 4th ranked School of the Arts in the country. So we're very proud of that standing, and we're very proud of the work that the faculty and staff do within the School of Arts. And we're very proud of the students who are part of the School of Arts or who have graduated from the School of Arts and who are going on to flourish in different careers that they're currently in now. We believe in making sure that when students are a part of VCU, that you are provided with the correct resources as well as services to kind of make sure that you are okay throughout your matriculation at VCU. So it's one thing to have our students get admitted to VCU or transfer students get admitted to VCU, but it's another thing to making sure that you are successful while you're at VCU. So on this slide, I want to kind of highlight 3 actually other services that are listed, and actually the first 3 services that are listed I want to kind of talk about for a little bit to make sure we have a good understanding of it. The first one being the Transfer Center. Now, VCU is very fortunate where we have a service set up solely for transfer students, which is our VCU Transfer Center. The VCU Transfer Center works with prospective students, which many of you are. They work with newly admitted transfer students, as well as they work with students who are returning to VCU. And I'll just kind of explain what type of services they provide to all 3 different types of students. As a prospective student, many of the questions I always get, or one of the most popular questions I always get from a prospective transfer student is, I've earned so many credits at my current institution. How many of these credits would be transferable to VCU, and how would it apply to my potential or prospective major at VCU? Very fair, very honest question I always get. Well, the VCU Transfer Center offers something called the unofficial credit evaluation for prospective students. So what you would do, you would complete their electronic online form. In addition to that, you would submit to them an unofficial copy of your transcript. Now, if you attended more than one institution, you would submit those transcripts as well. So what will happen is that one of the transfer advisors within the transfer center will review your information, review the online form that you completed, as well as review your unofficial transcript and do the unofficial credit evaluation. And they will give you some feedback, and it will let you know basically how many of those credits that you've earned will be transferable to VCU, and how many of those credits would apply to your prospective major that you want to pursue at VCU. And this is a very useful tool, and in my experiences, transfer students love using this because they get an idea before they even start the application process as to how many credits are coming in, could come into VCU, and how many of those credits would actually apply to their prospective major. But in addition to kind of providing that service for prospective students, when newly admitted transfer students start at VCU, two things happen. One, you actually get an official credit evaluation, which at this point you will find out exactly how many of those credits would transfer into VCU and how many of those credits would apply to your major. But in addition to that, once those transfer students start, new admitted transfer students start at VCU, sometimes transfer students or new transfer students experience something called a transfer shock, which is something kind of normal that most transfer students experience. What that basically means is that you're kind of getting adjusted to a new surrounding, a new university community, trying to get adjusted to the resources and services that the university provides. So you're trying to get adjusted to a lot of different things. So that could be overwhelming. So the Transfer Center has something called the Transitional Leader Program, which basically means that you'll be paired up with a transitional leader. That is someone who had transferred into VCU several semesters prior to you starting, and they will kind of help you get acclimated to the VCU community, answer any questions that you have as is VCU related, whether it's trying to find out how to get to the campus library, trying to figure out how to get to certain academic buildings, or just trying to figure out what all resources and services that VCU provide for students in general. In addition to that, VCU Transfer Center also works with returning students as well too. So the next service I want to kind of talk about for a minute is actually the Career Services Office. This is actually a service that current students can utilize as well as new alumni can utilize. If you're a new alumni, meaning you just graduated from VCU, let's say, for example, spring 2020, you can utilize this service for an entire year. If you're a returning student, a current student at VCU, sometimes our current and returning students, they may need to create or get some assistance on drafting up a cover letter or resume. The Career Services Office provides some assistance with that. Sometimes, you may have a job opportunity coming up or internship opportunity coming up, and you have interviews for these two opportunities. So the Career Services Office will provide mock interviews to kind of help you sharpen up your interview skills and get ready for those interviews that are coming up. In addition to that, they actually have a clothing center within the Career Services Office. So, you have to have proper attire when you go into these interviews. So you go into the clothing center, you pick out the proper attire, and that's clothing that you can wear for any interviews that you're going on. So their goal is to make sure that you are well prepared for internship opportunities, job opportunities, and just moving forward after you leave VCU with earning your bachelor's degree. And the last service I want to highlight is the Campus Learning Center. Now, this is a service that is utilized by, well more than 60, probably about 70% of our student body. The Campus Learning Center actually houses our tutoring center. So you can utilize this service as much as you want, or as much as you want throughout the entire academic year, or as little as you need throughout the entire academic year or semester. What you would do, you would just schedule an appointment to see a tutor. The tutoring center within the Campus Learning Center is actually peer-led. So it would be your peers, students who are actually at VCU, who have taken certain courses and who excelled in those certain courses. So they're there to kind of give you some guidance and to kind of, help you work through challenges that you may be experiencing in certain courses that you're taking. Now, this next slide, it talks about our application deadline, our transfer application deadlines to VCU. Now, at VCU, the vast majority of our programs, we actually have rolling admissions, which means that once a priority deadline has passed, you can still apply to VCU and get admitted to certain programs. Now, we have some programs that have very firm deadlines, meaning that once the deadline has passed, you cannot be considered for those programs. So I'll just kind of go through the difference between the two. So for those applicants or transfer applicants who are interested in a fall semester start at VCU, we have a priority deadline of February 1st if you're interested in a financial aid, which means that you have to complete your FAFSA by February 1st. For those applicants, also in addition to that, we have a March 15th deadline for the transfer application, the transfer priority application, which basically means that if you have your completed application on file before or by the March 15th deadline, you're guaranteed to receive your decision letter from VCU no later than May 1st. Now, we'll have applications coming in March 16th, April 1st, April 15th, and so on and so forth. However, we just can't guarantee that you will receive your decision letter by May 1st. But you still can be admitted into your certain academic program that you have applied to at VCU. And if you're interested in our honors college for fall semester, the application deadline or priority deadline would be May 15th. Now, for spring semester, we actually just had our priority deadline just passed, which was November 1st. However, we still have students who are applying to VCU for the spring semester as I speak now, and they're still submitting their applications now, and they'll still be receiving decision letters from VCU. Some, getting admitted to VCU, or whatever decision that is rendered based off of the application that they submit. In addition to that, we have the November 15th deadline for the honors college as well too. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have some programs that do not adhere to the specific deadlines that are listed on the slide. So for students who are interested in the School of Nursing, the Dental Hygiene program, the Clinical Lab Sciences program, the Clinical Radiation program, these are programs that really have their own different process, their own different deadlines. And actually, these are programs that are housed on the Medical College of Virginia campus. So what we always encourage students to do, especially those students who are interested in one of those 4 programs, is to visit the webpage to make sure you understand what the deadlines are, to make sure you understand what their admissions process is. Because when students are applying to one of those 4 programs, you're applying directly to those programs, which means that they have individuals who review those application files and make the final decision. Now, when it comes to applying to VCU, we have different application requirements. Now, when at VCU, we kind of categorize a transfer student in one of 3 ways. Well, we put a transfer student in 3 categories. The first category is a student who is transferring to VCU with 30 or more credits. The second category is a student who's transferring to VCU with less than 30 credits and at least 22 or older. The third category is a student who's trying to apply to VCU with less than 30 credits and under the age of 22. So depending on which category you would fall in will determine which supplemental additional materials that we'll need with the electronic application. So step one is to complete the electronic transfer application. So let's say, for instance, if you're an applicant who's applying to VCU and you've earned 30 or more credits at your current institution or institutions if you attended more than one. Well, all we'll need is just the electronic application, as well as your college transcript, official college transcript, or transcripts. That's all we'll need to be able to review your application. If you're applying to VCU and you have earned less than 30 credits, but at least 22 or older, we'll need the electronic application. We'll need your college transcript or transcripts, as well as your high school transcripts. If you're applying to VCU and you've earned less than 30 credits and you are under the age of 22, we'll need your electronic application, your college transcript or transcripts, your high school transcript, and if you have taken a standardized test, which is an SAT or ACT, we'll need that as well too. So all of our transfer students, when they're applying to VCU, they fit into one of these three categories. And again, depending on which category you fall in, will determine which what supplemental or additional materials that we will need when you apply. We also strongly encourage students to do FAFSA for whatever term that you want to start at VCU. Reason being, we want to make sure that you at least have some type of financial assistance to kind of cover your educational tuition at VCU. They have some programs at VCU that are much more competitive, and sometimes they require a GPA greater than 2.5 and additional. You may have to submit additional supplemental materials. So School of Nursing, Dental Hygiene, Clinical Lab Sciences, Clinical Radiation Sciences, these programs kind of fall into that category. And again, what I always tell students and what I always encourage students to do, if you're interested in one of those 4 programs, that you want to visit their websites to make sure you understand specifically what it is that they're asking for in terms of the GPA, what they're asking for in terms of supplemental materials that you will have to submit with your application. Now, VCU, we believe in always doing surveys to kind of get a feel for how our graduates felt, after they graduated from VCU. This was a survey that was done by our graduating class of 2018, and it was just to kind of get a feel for their thoughts about VCU. 86% of our students were satisfied with their postgraduate occupation. 87% of our students participated in experiential learning opportunity, and sometimes those experiential learning opportunities were in the form of internships that they acquired when they were students at VCU. And 87% of our 2018 graduates have occupations related to the majors that they pursued at VCU. So we can kind of see that, there was a high percent of students who were just very satisfied with their current occupations. They participated in experiential learning opportunities, and they were satisfied with their postgraduate occupations as well after graduating from VCU. And this last slide is just a contact information about about how to get in contact with us at VCU. So you're more than welcome to give us a call. You're more than welcome to send us an email. If you call, we have 2 different numbers you can call. We have first number is 800-841-3638. The second number you can call is actually 804-828-1222. And also you can reach out to us via email at ugrad@vcu.edu. That's ugrad@vcu.edu. And if you also have a Twitter account, you can follow us on Twitter at VCU Admissions and get the latest information about the application or admissions process at VCU. So I know there's been a lot of information that I kind of presented you with today, but I wanted to make sure you kind of get an understanding about VCU, of course, where our location is in relation to coming from North Carolina or South Carolina. Again, it's just a straight shot up I-95 North. You will run right into our 2 campuses. Give you some general information about the resources that we do provide at VCU, as well as our admissions process and application deadlines. I wanted to make sure you're well aware, and I know that the next step that you're making in terms of trying to find your four-year institution that you want to attend is very key. So, with the information I provided you with, I hope this kind of makes your decision a little bit easier. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up for any questions that you may have. And of course, you can put your questions in the Q&A chat box. Okay. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions, so I'll turn it back over to our facilitator, CACRAO.
Thank you very much. That was incredibly useful information and love the video, if I must say so myself. Let me just share a screen for 1 second. So I definitely would like to thank everyone who is joining us live today and who will be watching this video later on today. It's some really great information about a university that's not very far from North Carolina at all. And so again, when you close this window, you will be getting a link that'll just ask you to take a very short poll. I think it's 4 questions that'll just ask you about the platform today. And also, again, this is one of many other presentations that's being offered this week. This is the last week of the Transfer Tour. And if you'd like to register for additional sessions, you can go to CACRAO.org, which is CACRAO.org. And in about 1 week, this presentation will be available online at the same website, CACRAO.org. And so I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Mr. Jenkins, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Take care.